Atención California, ahora hay un nuevo fondo federal de $3,000 millones para ayudar a más personas a pagar su seguro médico sin importar sus ingresos. Eso significa que las parejas ahora podrían pagar $700 menos cada mes. Los solteros podrían obtener cobertura integral por solo $1 al mes. Y una familia de 4 podría pagar menos de $100 al mes. Visita coveredsea.com/español para ver tu nuevo precio más bajo. Solo en Covered California. Tu seguro médico empieza aquí.
Unexpected trouble? CashNet USA can take the stress out of borrowing emergency funds. Our fast, secure application process makes it easy to apply online 24/7. Plus, CashNet USA offers same-day funding if approved before 10:30 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. Additional terms may apply. Visit cashnetusa.com or tap the banner to apply today.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Verbose Perspectives. I am James Hicks, and there is Mr. Robert Lee. How are you, sir?
Always a good day whenever I get to hang out with you.
It's almost like I paid you to say. No, I didn't pay you to say that, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that, sir. Another great day, as you mentioned. We're getting close to the weekend. I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to getting to the weekend. It's been a crazy week during the day job, but today's show is going to be pretty interesting and pretty thought provoking as well. Before we get into it, I do want to remind folks the goal and the purpose right behind Verbose Perspectives. We really are here to garner engagement, promote a sense of community and networking. We are talking about all things from the entrepreneurship space, things from the video marketing, live streaming space. So really having a collaborative dialogue and a collaborative conversation, us to you, you to us, everyone learns. And really, we're just here to make sure that everyone engages and grows, right, in their particular journey. So with that being said, Robert, tell the folks what you do on a day-to-day basis besides shoveling snow in your neck of the woods.
I'm out like up to here. Well, then again, what's up to here with snow, it's probably down here for other folks just because of the whole.
Yeah.
Anyway, but as James alluded to, so the executive video producer and founder of Shala Productions, where we specialize in creating marketing videos as well as providing live stream service, focusing in the education and the medical field. And I always like to add that we also have a specialty in pop culture, just as to like how to infuse such different takes in terms of just kind of punching up videos in general, live, either in person or online. So and the interesting challenge, just what everyone's doing with their videos, is just like, what's the best way to engage with the audience? What material resonates with the audience, as well as just what's the best way to distribute that. And I think it's kind of a neat as to what kind of slight tee up as to what we may be talking about. I mean, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, I think one of the things, I guess I'm almost like jumping into the topic, but the answer to the early question, that's what we do, and it's always a joy to just be able to find ways to help others to create the videos or get the message out the best way going. And the whole theme of our show in terms of engagement includes being inclusive, is just being able to either talk with clients or talk with colleagues as to what's the best way to get your message out there and how to present it and everything.
Love it. Today, we wanted to kind of dive into a subject matter that you actually brought up to me a little while ago, and it kind of evolves and revolves around your particular industry, video marketing, things like that. And I wanted to just have a dialogue with you. I'm gonna put you on the spot, right? And talk about observations, talk about trends, things of that within your particular industry. What folks are maybe, what have they done? What are they doing today? And kind of what we see and what you see really as kind of the next evolution in terms of video marketing, live streaming, video production, all of those aspects, right? Because that really entails not just getting in front of the camera and turning on the lights and things like that, but all of the back end pieces. I like to call it, the operational pieces as well. So,
right.
What are you seeing from an industry trends perspective, past, present, future?
Sure. I mean, the one thing I enjoyed checking out, and everyone does, is how the competitors and other folks in the video production and the live stream community, as to specifically like the service providers or folks offering the service, as to how they can jockey for position, as to how they can stand out as being the go-to folks in terms of providing the service or creating the content. And so earlier, but like before we got on, you were talking about like the different stages. Like I see it three things. I think earlier, like once we knew that, everyone's going to be hunkered down, working from home and stuff, that live streaming is big, whether it's video conferencing or doing live streaming program. So that most of the content that I see there in terms of what the providers or people offering the service is focusing more on the tech side, as okay, what do we need to create the videos that we want live streaming? When you're talking about like the cameras, audio, just what's the best way to stream it, whether it's using live streaming software such as vMix, Ecamm, to the distribution software where we're talking about Restream, even was it Wowzer? I think it was like Wowzer and what have you. And so
you're flashing back now with some other names. I love it. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, so once the pandemic hit, and the emphasis was just, okay, what are the stuff we need to be able to get online and to be able to create the videos? So right now, we're coming into like a close to a little over a year, just trying to deal with the pandemic. And now I'm seeing that what's being involved is like, it's like, folks already aware that there's just saturation of information out there, what you need to create a live stream video. So now the next step is, okay, you got the stuff. What are you going to say in front of the camera? And so, so I mean, now I'm starting to see a lot of the folks, and it's evident whether it's in LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, folks are talking about the content. It's like, okay, how do you present yourself? What are you going to say? How to put the show together. And it's been interesting just in terms of the type of content out there, whether they're talking about, focusing your uniqueness of, I'm trying to make sure not to say anything trademark or anything, but just in terms of just like,
I'll make sure we don't get sued. Yeah.
Thank you. So it's about just trying to get the most out of you, of being yourself in front of the camera, but being able to stand out from whether it's your competitors in your industry, to how to get people to come watch the really be honed in on what you're saying in front of the camera, to just structuring it so that you're not going up there pell-mell going but adding a little bit of structure to the format. So I think that's what we're seeing a lot more right now. And I think at some point, if not near the end of the year, or at the very least the beginning next year, I think that you're going to see a lot more of folks, whether it's on the agency side or the video production side, really focusing more on the video marketing aspect of it, as to where you're going to be able to distribute the content to reach the audience that you're trying to go after. And I love what you mentioned, James, that the next step in terms of how you market the content is just the optimization. And I might be getting ahead of myself. It could be like
you did. You just jumped. You just hurdled over two questions that I was going to ask you. Right? It's the old statement. What did you wag the dog already? But that's all right, though, man. You're on a roll. It's all good. It's like keep going, brother. Keep going.
No, I mean it's just a matter of like you've gone from how do you do a video to what are you gonna say in front of it to like how are you gonna get it out there. Yeah. And once you know like how you're gonna get it out there, it's like what's the best way that they're recognizing you got content out there for people to see. And that's where we talk about like optimization. I think to go a step further from that is almost more cyclical, because then it's like, okay, once you know like how you're going to get the video out there, to how you're going to be able to optimize the people know their videos out there for people to see, as to where to put it. And it's almost cyclical in my mind, in that I think a lot of the basic principles that drives the videos is a form of marketing, and it's going to introduce a lot more of the direct marketing, direct mail principles, in terms of just not only reaching your audience, but where to have them congregate to get the stuff, or to see the stuff that I think it'll just start up the cycle again. I know I'm like trying to like cram in like about years worth of marketing or stuff. And
you are, man. You're given the whole 4-year study in the Cliff Notes version, but that's fine. I mean, I want to continue to piggyback on that, right? I mean, you dropped some interesting gems there, and I want to kind of reverse and get focused a little bit. You talked about from the legacy perspective. So again, I'm just going to say past, present, and next, right? You talk about from the past, it was always concern and worry about the gear, right? The technology and any infrastructure that you had in place, the lights, camera, action, that stuff, right? And that is important, I think. And we actually talked about that during our last show. Focus on getting your audio right first, then worry about getting your lighting and your camera, do that stuff. But now everyone really is focusing, I think, on the message and making sure that that message that you're delivering resonates with whatever the audience that you're trying to reach to. Everyone has a story. I truly believe that everyone has a story, and giving them the means and the opportunity to share that story will resonate with the community, right? I really am passionate about that, and I think that is something that folks can leverage. Just it's almost like a relationship, right? There's someone out there for everyone, and there will be folks that resonate with whatever message you're trying to deliver.
Yeah,
differentiating from the vast array of other folks doing the same similar type of conversation as you're having, that's key. So let's pause there and talk a little bit about that, right?
Okay.
What are some ways? I know you also host and co-host on a couple of other shows, and you obviously teach and tell folks how to work and interact on camera. What are you hearing and saying to folks about wanting to start a show, about finding the right message, a message that can be sticky, right, to a particular community? Are you just telling them, go with your gut, go with your heart, go with, if you like comic books and anime or something, fire up a channel on that, or go out and look at the Google Trends, right, and find something that's top of mind, top of the news kind of thing, and give your own particular take on it? What are you in your circle hearing or telling folks to do?
It's a little bit of blending of the content, as well as trying to identify the strengths and weaknesses of the people group that are presenting, so that you're getting the most out of the person that's presenting. So before we even go into the content, it's almost taking a step back, where it's not so much focusing on the technology, but just seeing like what they have to work with in terms of making sure that they can do it. The producer show. From there, it's a matter of like, okay, and then try to like focus on how we can create the program, like the format, the blend, getting the best out of the person. So if we use the comic and the animator, it's a matter of just trying to gauge as to what their either product, industry, or personal experience knowledge as to where the strengths are, to play their strength. Because I think the last thing you want to do is like introduce a segment of like, hey, stump the announcer, and if they don't really know too much about the animation but just have an opinion, that could be a problem. So it's a little bit of just kind of like gauging as to like what they want to talk about, because as you know, like the more passionate a person is about what they want to talk about, the more lively, the more engaged the content's going to be. So it's more like sussing that out, so that before we can go like, okay, here's what we're going to do, boom boom boom, it's like, okay, let's let's see what you like, what you're all about, what you like to talk about. And then
that's a good point, right? Actually have some feeling and some care about what it is you're talking about, right? Don't go up there and try to boil the ocean about something that you have nothing in common with, and act like you're the next resident expert on it. That's a really good point. Let's talk about mediums of delivery, right? And this is an interesting question that came up from Brother Kowaleski. So shouts out to him. We're thinking about you, brother. Glad to see you online.
John.
Current statistics show that marketing materials and social media posts get up to 70% more engagement than text-only or static graphic posts. And that's a change, right? Because I started in the early days of WordPress. Right, I've been creating sites in WordPress for a very long time before I had gray hair and all that, and text was king for a while, right? Just being able to have that platform where you can share your message and curate that out to your audiences and things of that nature. But with the evolution of all of the social media platforms, the Instagrams, the Twitters, the Snapchats, and having shorts and having stories and having those means of being able to grab hold of someone's attention for the 2 or 3 minutes that you have it for, because it's very rare that you're going to get anyone's attention for longer than that. But have a compelling message that you can put out there that's graphical and that's visual. That's an interesting characteristic as well in terms of how social and the way that we're spreading the message differently for content creators, right? Because again, it had typically been just via text and via blog post, and you share that out through your email campaigns or whatever the case may be. But now you're looking for your subscribers, you're looking for engagement on your Instagrams and your Snapchats and things like that, because you're sharing not just text, but you're showing video. Do you take advantage of Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and things like that in some of your activities for Shalala Productions?
So I do take advantage of. It's funny you say Instagram, because before we went live, I did a quick Instagram.
That was actually a softball throw that I did. That was. I hope you caught it. I knew, right?
But I mean, I did use Instagram. I know I should use. I know, like, what Gary Vee and the others, they like Snapchat and TikTok. I haven't really got into it. Not that I don't see the value in it. It's just that. I think it's one of those things where I just have to, like, at least have control as to what medium to use to my advantage, because it's getting to the point where if you put out so much time to try to learn everything, which, I mean, it's good to know. I think it's almost like you kind of like split your resource or attention to get out to all the mediums, then to the master one, and then and then get. So I think maybe it's just more the old school in me, like, just to, like, set a limit as to which one to focus on, so that way it doesn't take away of coming up with the content that's compelling, that really will garner attention, or at least one that would add value. So I do use Instagram. I know, like, we're using LinkedIn.
Yes, we are. We are live on LinkedIn right now. Yes, we are.
Exactly. Facebook, YouTube, and just try to, like, be aware of the nooks and crannies, the quirks to use the advantage in getting the content out there. Not to throw a curveball to the curveball, but I mean, how about you? Like, what do you enjoy using, and which one you find more effective in terms of posting the content out there?
Man, yeah, that is a curve, because I don't enjoy doing any of them. But you got to do it. And
yeah.
My biggest challenge right now, and this could turn into an intervention for myself, is really finding the right balance within the workflow. Okay. Right, because there's a lot of activity that happened before show. Right, when you're scheduling an event, and the whole marketing activities that go into that. So you're posting an event that's going to go live on like we'll say LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You got to build some marketing around that to try to gain engagement and folks to attend. So how do you do that? I'll do an audiogram or something that goes out on Instagram. I'll do obviously some commentary on the brand page on Facebook and on my profile, things like that. So there'll be a lot of activity that happens before the show, a couple of days before, 10, 15, 20 minutes before going live. Obviously, like you were saying, there's a quick marketing pitch to folks saying, remember, we're getting ready to go live here. So there's that activity. There are some automated tweets that literally I have going out right now using a platform that's saying we're live to come check us out. It literally just went out just now. So I see it popped up on the screen. So there's automation tools as well. After the show, I'll pull down the audio from this, convert it into an MP3, and then upload it into a syndicated podcast. So that'll go out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and all of those other platforms. So repurposing the same content, but in a different form, because I heard something from someone who I really admire in this entire video production world, and I believe it was Diana Gladney. She said, meet your audience where they are.
Yeah.
Right. Not everyone is on LinkedIn like we are. Right. The only time we really publish on LinkedIn is for specific reasons, for business focus, entrepreneurship, high tech, whatever the case would be. Not everyone's going to be there. Not everyone is going to be on YouTube. Right. Not everyone's going to, more folks are probably going to be on Facebook. So not every show, not every post, not every piece of content goes on each of those platforms. And you've got to meet your audience where they are. For a while, I was telling folks, I'll post the event on Facebook, but please come over to YouTube because I'm trying to get those special YouTube plaques in my house. I'm not worried about that anymore. I want to meet the audience where they are, so they're comfortable, so they can digest the content and be able to engage as they see fit. So, long story short, I use a lot of tools, especially some automation tools. I'm actually looking at some other means of project management now. So I'm looking at something to replace my current platform for taking notes and show notes and logistics and things like that for every show. I use Evernote right now. I'm not getting paid by Evernote, so I can go ahead and mention the name. I use them, but I'm looking for something more agile. So looking at Notion, I'm looking at Trello, I'm looking at Asana, looking at Bear. So all these other platforms and applications, tools to help me really to streamline my workflow and my process. Right. Now they're no good if I don't use them and take advantage of them. But that's kind of where I am. Again, just to make sure that all of the steps that need to happen in a production are seamless and less anxiety ridden, because that's it. Folks really should understand that you can't really just turn the lights and the camera on and go live. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Don't be intimidated by it, but there's a lot of activity that needs to happen for you to have an effective show. An effective run-up show needs to be in place. So I was on my soapbox for a little bit. I'll take a drink of coffee while you go ahead on. I'm sorry. All
right. I mean, you raised a lot of important points, which is in terms of the distribution and just being where the audience is to get the content out there. I'll put a different spin on it in that I know that the other flip side of the argument is that it's almost like giving credit to the platform to receive the benefits of all the hard work that you're doing. And in some ways, I think, I don't know if it's who I talked to about this, or at least someone had mentioned that. I think it was like with Wistia, where when they were encouraging people, well, not only use their products to be upload and put their video, but their emphasis was to drive traffic to your website, so that although you're asking the viewers to go to one place to consume your videos and everything, that I think it's just the idea that you should reap the benefit from the work that you're doing. I know it's going against the idea, you want to be able to go where you're putting the content. It's true, but at the same time, you want to be able to the benefit in terms of the audience that you're capturing, to be able to go to where you're able to either to engage, or at least whether it's if you're trying to get people to pay attention to other stuff you have on the website and stuff. So Um, I guess it just really boils down to finding that balance of you want to go to where the audience is, but at the same time you want to be able to the benefit of getting the audience attention, so to be able for them to be able to either get to know your product or get
you
to know
don't want to miss out, right? So you bring up an interesting point, because I'm actually doing a test with this show tonight, and it's actually also streaming to Twitch. All right.
Okay.
This isn't the audience. This show isn't for the Twitch audience, right? It's primarily the gamers. It's primarily the folks that are playing like my son, playing Call of Duty 24 hours a day and doing that kind of thing.
Yep.
However, I'm looking at my metrics here. There are folks watching it right now, so it's touching with someone, and it's resonating with someone. So again, we're reaching a whole different demographic. Yeah, I can guarantee you, after the show, when I fire up LinkedIn and look at how many folks either watch this live or going to watch the replay, that's going to be the majority. And then also, I see YouTube is doing pretty decently as well. But again, that's where this type of show kind of resonates. I'm really just beta testing and putting it out there on Twitch just to see how it happens. But again, you have to be cognizant of that, though. I guess I'm just going to say that when you are in the process of putting together a event and a show, and whatever the topic is, make sure that your audience will be accepting of that in whatever form that you put it in. Right. So because you just have to be cognizant of that, and don't be discouraged if you start out and you only have one viewer and you're talking to yourself after 20 minutes and there's 0 viewers. It's all right, because again, it's not just the live audience. I really am a strong proponent for folks to remember that when you repurpose your content and you put it out there on like a podcast, or you cut up snippets and you put it out in Instagram and do those audiograms, that's powerful in terms of being able to bring people back to your channels. So yeah, man, that's what look. See, you asked, you brought this on yourself, brother. You should bring your fire on right now, because like I'm dropping some gems on them right now, and that's.
Well, I mean, if they're not paying attention, I mean, they're missing out. So
I'm dropping some gems on them, boy. I should put my buy me a coffee link out here. Hold on, let me stop. Oh, what is that? Yeah, snow and ashes going. I love it. So okay, so let's do this. So we talked about past, present. We talked about technology being used, infrastructure, things like that. We talked about making sure that the message was relevant to all the audiences, and you started going down the path in terms of, I think, what's next, and that being the marketing activities, and we kind of just hit on that as well just now. But how does one effectively do that, right? I think measurements and analytics are critical. I'm a numbers guy, right? So I as I was saying, I got all these other screens, and I'm looking at viewership right now, and I'm glued over here. I got one eye looking over here when I should be looking at you in the camera, but it's okay. Those are the kinds of things I think that matter and that are relevant as well. So how are folks optimizing that message from a marketing perspective, right? Are you using tools like I use Social Blade and I use TubeBuddy. Those are two tools that I use, at least from a YouTube perspective, to make sure that I'm using the right keywords, I'm using the right tags, I'm using the right hashtag, all those things, right? And posting at the right time. So are you using anything particular in terms of when, where, how, and what to say in the description of your particular videos that you put out?
It's almost like, I should. And what you're saying is correct. I'm painful. I'm painful to admit this. I haven't, only because I've been so caught up with just the focus on what makes the video tick, what works to iron out, that I haven't delved into the analytic tools as to which to use. But if I were to use, those are some that I would look into. I feel like I'm gonna sound like my dad, like, it all adds up as to like the type of analytic tools to invest in to know like what to the best measure the performance and everything like that. So So I'll probably be more on the research stage as to which one I would invest in, as to like what would, really would tell me what benchmarks to look for or what to test. So because I've been looking at best practices as to like, what tools I can get the most out of in terms of getting the type of content to the post, whether it's okay, if I'm using a StreamYard, am I able to pull up the proper engagement graphics, or I'm sorry, the chat text like you can like with vMix? What's vMix lacking that I can't get that StreamYard has after? In looking at Restream, they're able to push out like different platforms or different channels. How much of that can I get the most out of if I'm using a vMix? So I've been focusing more on that than on the tools that you described there, which I should be doing. But at the same time, it's one that I'm itching to figure out, just because once you get everything hammered out as to how you want to create the video and post it, you got to be able to measure that. So not to throw a curveball to the curveball. I mean, which ones you find interesting that that you hadn't thought of before investing in the tools, that you say, okay, that's something I should look out for at the benchmark in terms of the next video I post?
You're just looking for a way to put me on the spot, right? And because of that, I'm gonna put you in the little pip. I
Timeout
can't
box.
even point right. I can't even get the mirror action going down. So
It's all good.
So like I mentioned, from a YouTube analytics perspective, right? I'm using a couple of tools specifically right now, TubeBuddy and Social Blade, and what they're allowing me to do is to really see, again, preferential times, preferential statements, preferential remarks to put in each post, in the description, in the title, with particular.
You could bring home the bacon, but why stop there? When you shop with Jewel Osco for you can bring home the entire breakfast. The bacon, the eggs, the pancakes, and more. You can bring home great rewards, personalized deals, and points to redeem on groceries. You can even bring home a free treat on your birthday. Sounds like we're gonna need a bigger frying pan. Become a free Jewel Osco for you member today. No purchase necessary. Download the Jewel Osco Deals and Delivery app and feed your joy. Visit jewelosco.com/4u for program details.
Bissell air purifiers capture allergens, pet dander, even smoke. They're powerfully effective with 3-stage filtration, including a HEPA filter. Get simply clean air in every room from Bissell, a trusted brand in home care.
Tags with particular keywords, ensuring that the thumbnail is high resolution and catching, right? That it's not solid colored black or something, right? That is brightly, right? That it's eye capturing and that it resonates with the audience. So those are tools that allow you to actually see some of those metrics. And with Social Blade, it actually also has a capability of kind of forecasting you. So you're at X number of subscribers on your channel right now, and you can say it'll tell you you're projected to get to 1,000 subscribers by this particular date. So I really like that because it helps you to kind of gamify it for yourself in your own mind and for me. So I'm saying, look, I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers on YouTube before the end of this calendar year. And the way the Social Blade has got it laid out for me, it shows that I can get to that. But obviously, I kind of, like I say, I want to gamify that and get there a little bit sooner. So that's really, really key and really critical. As far as I was mentioning about the social media automation, so I use a platform called Content Studio to send out messages automatically. It's similar to Hootsuite. A lot of folks know about Hootsuite and Sprout Social, and what else is there? I think Social Bee is. Folks have probably heard of Social Bee. So tools like that to allow you to automatically push out content to Twitter, Facebook, and it has Instagram and it has Pinterest as well. I've been sleeping on Pinterest. I need to roll that back into the workflow because there's a lot of engagement on there. So I use that, right? But so those are kind of tools that I use on a daily, frequent basis to push out information and to measure how much engagement, how much interaction, kind of the CTR, right? The whole click-through ratio in terms of how folks are actually engaging with the content when I send it out. Are they sharing and things of that nature? So I can see that. Those are three at top of mind. You mentioned encoders, right, that we have out there in the marketplace for doing this type of thing, live streaming. So we are today taking advantage of Restream.io, the platform. It's got some analytics built into it. Right. So after we go live, it'll actually email me a report showing what the latency was, what the whole total viewership was, if we had any drop packets during. So it'll give me, again, those operational pieces in terms of what the show looked like on the internet, and it'll actually give me some metrics in terms of how many people were watching live. So I really like that as well, because again, that helps me figure out, is there something wrong with my connection, my internet connection? You know, I always run a speed test before going live just to make sure, but I love that aspect. And again, I love that immediate feedback after clicking the end stream button where Restream says, you know what, this is the metrics for your particular event. So Facebook messaging, Facebook on the brand pages gives you some really detailed information in terms of demographics, right? Because look, Facebook is just like Microsoft; they know everything about everyone. So it'll tell me how many women age 18 to 24 who live in the Pacific Northwest were watching the show for 2 minutes.
Right.
That's great. And again, that's in the weeds. That's something that if I wanted to, I could put into an Excel spreadsheet and put it into a pivot table and do something with it. But I don't need to get to that level. But that information is there because Facebook, like Google and like Microsoft, have all that kind of data on everyone who's on those platforms. So just taking advantage of that. So that is something that I do. I really will comb through the numbers. Similar to the podcast, like I say. So after I publish the podcast, I'll wait 24 hours, log into the platform, and see which mediums or which platforms were listening to the podcast. So how many people on desktops, how many people on laptops, on mobile, different types of mobile, iPhone versus Android, PC versus Mac. Smart speakers has started to show up in the analytics as well for the podcast. So that's really interesting. How many folks are listening to it from Alexa and Siri? So that's pretty cool as well to get down into those demographics. So,
or as you would say, we're getting fancy.
Look, let me tell you something. I got slide rule. I got an abacus. I'm a number 2 pencil kind of guy, right? We can do it. We can.
I'll loan you my projector.
But think about this, right? I mean, it's now so easy, right? Back in the day, it was so convoluted and complex to really get a lot of this information. You had to hire someone who was a digital marketing strategist. That's a fancy title, but or whatever the case, someone who did this all day, every single day. But now the producer, the talent, the end user can actually pull all of those metrics and make their own informed decision real time, as opposed to having to go out and get that information from someone else. So I really, that's an exciting time for technology, and that's why I love this whole field that we're in. So would love to see if anyone had any comments or questions as well. I'm seeing some feedback, but I got Robert Lee here, man. Ask the expert. He'll answer all the questions. I'll just make stuff up, right? That's what I do on a day-to-day basis, brother. I get on stage with the jazz hands and just make stuff up. That's my role in life.
I just give the jazz hands just because it's jazz hands. What's not like jazz hands? Well, that's another subject in itself. So, but no, I mean, earlier when we talk about trends, I mean, that's what I'm seeing with what folks in the field doing as to like what they're promoting for live stream and stuff. I'm curious as to hear like what you're seeing, whether it's on the live stream, the LinkedIn news feeds or Facebook news feed. Are you seeing a lot of ads of people advertising live streaming services, video content creating. I mean, I
No.
suspect there's some like targeting going on with me just because of the type of things I'm looking out for, just because of, I'm naturally
they got you kind of like pigeonholed, right? They're like, oh, this guy right here, let's make sure we send him all the ads for all that stuff. I'm not really seeing promotion on LinkedIn for the services and the capability, but what I am doing, I'm seeing there is folks who have been approved to go live on LinkedIn, because again, right now that list is still pretty small, right? Everyone, it's like FOMO, right? You get the fear of missing out. A lot of folks, everyone can stream on the Facebook and the Twitter platforms,
right?
But man, you try to put in that application to get LinkedIn Live, and you gotta climb through hoops, over barbed wire, and all that stuff to get it. But once you get it, you feel pretty good about it.
Right.
So they're being pretty conservative right now in terms of promoting and pushing that. I am seeing a lot of folks that that have the access that are pushing their streams, but they're not doing it as frequently, as daily as you would, on a daily basis, as you would see someone going to YouTube, right? So I know folks that are on LinkedIn Live that don't always go to LinkedIn. They'll typically on a regular basis go to Facebook or go to YouTube and save that core, maybe that premium, that higher level, higher conversation type of a content for something like a LinkedIn. So yeah,
it's I'm trying to think, because I know like a good friend John jokes about, just because like what I see, maybe what I'm imagining, but at the same time, it's just interesting, just that the language or just how they present themselves, it's all kind of like blur, and it just all gets back to like, well, how do I stand out with what I'm trying to do? And
well, like I'm looking right now, literally, and there are 25 people watching us on LinkedIn right now on my stream. So, and again, this was, it was planned, it was staged, but everyone on LinkedIn that's in my network got a text that said, "Oh, James is live," and they're like, "Oh Lord, what is he doing now?" That kind of thing. So they're just wanting to see if I trip and fall over myself. To be honest with you. But that's what that is, and it's going to grow. It's going to have legs, because tomorrow tonight when folks look at their LinkedIn timeline, there'll be some more attrition there. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was
I was here. Yeah, I mean, it's let's see what he says here. Studying analytics, doing A/B. Yep. I think John made an earlier point about how it's key that with any video, whether it's live stream or even or produced, that you got to capture them even within the first 5 seconds. Otherwise, they're like,
you do, right? I mean, you got to be compelling. You either got to do a magic trick, tell some jokes, or what. But again, just be different than everything else that's out there. Oh my gosh, what is this? All right, that's slightly disturbing there.
Well, you said something about being different, so
you've got John Claude Van. Oh my gosh, we have officially fallen off the rails now. But I love it, man. It's all good. It's all good.
But, yeah, I mean, it's I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think earlier when LinkedIn was just rolling out their LinkedIn Live feature, it was interesting to see a bit of a migration of a lot of the YouTube creators coming over to LinkedIn. I'm like, what's going on? And all of a sudden I'm starting to see like their videos popped up, and they're doing a lot of the like polished marketing thought pieces and what have you. And then once LinkedIn Live, then it's starting to like creep out not creep out. I mean, they're starting to like to push different content that's more geared toward like the live stream platform. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just a matter of just time as to like, either the people combating the FOMO, where they just got to get in to be able to help stand out, or I hear a little giggling, I got to hear it.
well, no, and I agree with that, and I think if you also look at, there are other platforms that are coming out that are going to start taking people's attention.
Yeah.
Case in point, one being Clubhouse. Clubhouse is an iOS app that's solely focused around audio, and it's so simple, right? Yeah. And it's so old school and legacy, right? Just no video, no likes, no retweets, no affirmations. It's just you and a bunch of other folks in a room, and you're having dialogue. There's just a lot of
Right.
power in that, and I love the energy from those rooms. But kind of as I was saying before we went live, so I just recently got invited to the beta for Twitter Spaces,
Right.
which is Twitter's answer to Clubhouse. Twitter has half of the planet on the platform.
Yeah.
They've got a lot more backing. They got a lot more funding. They're a public company. So, you got Jack Dorsey. You got the weight of that behind you. So there could be a real shift in momentum when Twitter Spaces starts rolling out, as they work through whatever issues and preliminary stuff that they have in the beta. So I've had it for a week. I haven't fired it up once, and I probably should, or they'll revoke my access. So don't be, if you follow me on Twitter, if you're one of the what I got a few followers on Twitter. So if you follow me, don't be surprised if later on tonight you get a ping saying that James is up live on Twitter Spaces. But right, and Facebook's coming out with their own answer to this as well. So everyone's seeing the relevance, seeing the success of a Clubhouse. Look, when you can get folks like Elon Musk, Steve Ballmer, and the CEO of Robinhood, right when the big issues were happening with the GameStop stock, and things of that nature. When you get those kind of folks online on the platform talking to you about what's going on, that was the first time I've ever seen those rooms within Clubhouse actually get to an overfill stage. We found out that you can only have 5,000 people in the room, and when Elon was talking with the CEO of Clubhouse, the CEO of Robinhood, there were 4 or 5 overfill rooms that were happening during that live conversation because it was so engaging. It was resonant. Yeah. I mean, it's live, and you're hearing it not from a second or third party. You're hearing it from the person themselves. So there's power in that, and 10 times exponentially for the fact that now that capability is coming to Twitter. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and I'm really looking forward to that. So. So yeah, stay tuned for that excitement. I love technology, brother. Right? It just keeps going. Can never say that we're an expert in everything. Just know a little bit to be dangerous, but because it's just continuing to evolve. I love what we do.
Yeah, it's funny because like whenever there's a next, some people say new toy or next new feature or next new offering, I always have this image, this classic sports photo of Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, like jockeying for position for getting the rebound. So when I heard about what you said about Twitter, and then we know earlier about Facebook come up with their version of Clubhouse, I just can't help but just seeing everyone just trying to keep their eye on the ball as like who's going to be able to grab it and stuff. So I should say like I'm not surprised, but it's just always fascinating just as to the level of a gamemanship as like who's bringing their next A game as to trying to get to be the top rebounder, or getting that elusive prize of the people's attention audience, or in this case, the basketball. So
yeah, let me ask you some questions, kind of, I guess, back to your wheelhouse. And I know it's probably a trying time, right? Because the fact, again, you would typically be out in the field, right, doing your thing with the camera and the microphone, and actually with clients and things like that. Are you finding it? Are you able to work with clients during this remote virtual landscape that we're in right now? I mean, are you still able to engage with clients and produce shows, produce events for either existing or new clients, and having to have a different dialogue with them, right? In terms of, setting up their remote virtual spaces and getting a green screen or whatever the case may be, as opposed to being out at a conference or on stage or on the sidewalk with your camera, lights, camera, action. I mean, have you been able to make that pivot over the last 18 months or so?
I mean, pivot as to like being acclimated in the remote setting. Yes, it's like everyone else is just doing a better job just to be able to promote saying like, hey, we may be like trapped in our own spaces, but we can do things remotely, and so it's just a matter of just doing a better job of communicating that, hey, we can do it remotely, and it's just a matter of just being able to work with the clients of just letting them know like we can do that and just getting the message out there. And I think it's a little bit of trial and error as to whether the clients are capable of either doing it on their own or if they need a little bit of guidance as to how to create that. So so there's a little bit of a feeling out process as to where they're at, what their interest levels are. Do they have the resources? Because like as we all know, everyone's just just trying to be able to acclimate working remotely. So they're putting out their own fires. Like, can they make the adjustments so that the last thing that they may be thinking about is like, live streaming or creating the video. But I mean, it's getting to the point where I think you're getting a better idea of like which people have the interest, which people have the interest and the resources, which people have the interest, not necessarily have the resources. So it's a matter of just trying to see where they're at and just asking the right questions as to, is this something that can help them out, and how we're able to provide the service to help them what they need to do, which is to help them get the message out there. So I know like earlier on when the pandemic hit, had tried to offer a complimentary a service to the folks like the frontliners just to help them get the message out, just because I think it was funny where like at that time, I felt comfortable, confident that we had the resources to be able to do that. But then it's just the age old question of like, how do you get the message out there to be able to help them out there? So, so if it's not one thing, it's another. So, so to your point, we pivot, and it's just a matter of just being better about getting the message out there to let them know that we're here to help them out. And funny in doing that, one of the things that we're doing is just try to relaunch our newsletter, just to be able to like let them know like what we're doing.
I saw that.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're a little teaser for those that have already signed up or are on the email list that provided like a content piece to be able to help others out, where I just did like a step-by-step process of how people can use a tool like a StreamYard to be able to stream into like a Facebook group. So that way, if they're not a member and if they're a member but not an admin, how can they post a live stream video into that and just kind of guide through them? So, so it's just one of the ways of just trying to be able to be helpful, as well as just being able to provide resources as to how people can do themselves, and also kind of get a little bit of a gauge as to like where people at to be able to where their people's skill set or their resource set as to where they're at. So, so that's part of the solution of just trying to figure out ways to communicate, not only to say we can do it, but also just trying to figure out where they're at as to like what best way to help them, whether it's people doing the work, creating it, or people encouraging them, or just helping out people, like help them suss out as to how to go about doing it as a instructor. So, so those are some of the things that we're working on in terms of what's the word? Enlighten as to what can be done.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason I asked that question, I appreciate the honesty of your answer. Is just you, for the most part, have to tell your clients what they don't know. You have to educate the client on this new means of engagement and collaboration and production, right? Because they may have an idea of, I want to do a filming, or I want to do some type of activity, and they come at you with one particular thought process of how it's always been done in the past. But now again, the world has kind of pivoted and turned 180 degrees, and you got to come at it differently. And you've got the skill set and the mindset. You're seen really as that trusted advisor, subject matter expert, to say, no, let's look at it from this angle, and let's go about it this route, and it can still be incredibly successful. And this is how, and this is why. So, it's almost, most of the onus is on you now, right? To have that different conversation, that hard how and why conversation with your clients?
The weird thing about it is that the bottom line is whenever people talk to me, I think what takes them aback is like it's almost like I'm getting them to try to think through what they're doing. And I mean, I know nowadays people are looking for the answers. They want the immediate answers. Yes, yes, yes. So they can go. But I'm like, whoa, hang on a second. We got to think this through. What is it you're trying to do? What works for you? And it's almost like, it's kind of weird where like, you're almost like trying to help them try to like, they got to really think about what they're doing before they do. So, and it's awful weird because it's, I don't want to say like an out of body experience, but it just almost feels surreal where like you're want people to think through what they want to do. Cause I know like there's always the tendency that you want that turnkey solution as to like what create the video, but sometimes that may not be the right solution or maybe the right fit. And so to try to help them avoid any buyer's remorse or anything like that is just try to really like slow down them to really make sure that they know what their goals and purposes are. I know that's a broken record, I'm saying, but as to what they want to do to help them out. And so in them putting the onus on them, I'm not necessarily trying to put the onus on them, but just trying to make sure they know, like what they're doing, which is a weird thing when
that's tough,
people
man.
hear it out loud.
Right. No, but right. That's those are the hard, awkward questions that you have to ask now. And it's tough, right? Because you haven't had to do that in the past. And now with this new, I hate saying the statement, but I'll say it anyway, this new normal, that is kind of what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not afraid to ask them, but it's just that it catches them off guard. And so it's a matter of just trying to be able to not anticipate, but just kind of like at least be ready to type of questions, or at least maybe slight pushback. But at the same time, I can't help them out if I don't really know what they're thinking. I hate to use this dating analogy, but you know how like people like say like, help me help you, or no, wait, that's not the one. Or like, I forget what it was, like the Notebook scene with Ryan Gosling was like, what is it that you want?
Brother. I've been out of the dating scene for like 3 decades, so I can't even go there, man.
It's like I'm trying to get out of Starting Gate, but that's another story. But no, I mean, it's just the idea of just trying to find out like what it is that they want, and to be able to run with what the solutions that help work with them. And that's why I always focus on the inclusiveness, just because it's a two-way street. It's like, it's one thing knowing what to do and having the resources, but it's another thing to understand like where they're coming from, because you could be the best shooter and best producer in the world, but if it's not giving them the answers that they're looking for, or if we're not asking the right questions, then it's almost like, so I mean, it's tough, but at the same time, it's just a matter of just trying to like, just doing what's right for what the people are looking, what they're asking for.
Yeah, I will say keep your head up, because I like this comment. I had it up a minute ago from John, that just even with the changing in the globe, right? Remote video production, there's enough food out there for everyone to eat, right? So you should definitely have opportunity out there to just come at it with a different mindset, a different approach, but definitely be able to do what it is that you're good at. And I know you'll continue to thrive and continue to flourish in your endeavors. So
I appreciate it. I mean, I think what's cool is that the fact that we're talking and we're collaborating to put the emphasis to let others know that, it's all about just not only engagement just for the sake of engagement, but just to be able to not only build the community, but also be there for others. So that way they can have the right resources or tools or knowledge to be able to set them the way they need to be able to find the solution they're needing for. So, I mean, it's just about just trying to do our best to help others out. Which is I guess is the way to look at it, I guess.
And I guess I'll close with this for the questions for you, but right. I think I know you moderate a few or a handful of Facebook groups that are focused on these types of activities. And I think we could probably do another job or a better job of sharing maybe these sessions on some of those in some of those forums, right? Because again, like-minded individuals
Yep.
conversing and sharing information really resonates. I know we again, this is only the second show within this particular series, but we continue to talk about it, and I know you have your other events as well, but I think it matters to continue to have the discussion and to share, because it's not always the talking heads that need to be here. And I love the comments, but other folks that are interested and wanting to be on camera as well, to have a panel and have a discussion and ask amongst ourselves, and someone will have an aha moment. Next thing you know, we all walk out with an action item and we're off to the races and getting better. That's what it's all about, brother. That's what it's all about. So.
And we can point out to the first episode where we're fortunate that we're able to have John join us as the example of that type of engagement, just not only the good fellowship, but just be able to learn and help each other. So for those that are watching the replay now, just know that in future episodes, if you want to jump on, you have a thought you want to share with us, or just at least enlighten us of things that we should know. I mean,
I could use a lot of enlightening. Look, I'm just. Look, I'm a blue collar kind of guy. I wear a suit and tie throughout the day, but I'm a blue collar kind of guy, so it's all good.
Now, I thought you were gonna say something like you're a Pittsburgh fan, so you'd be more on the mustard gold, or
is it mustard gold? Where's my terrible towel? Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. Like, where's the terrible towel, man?
We didn't do as well this past. No, I don't want to go down that path. We didn't. We didn't bring the Lombardi home, so it's always next season. We'll figure it out and do better next time, right? So, Grandpa Brady did his thing. Father Time is not holding him back, so it's all good. I'm not bitter, but don't get me on a tangent. No,
hey, no worries. I mean, we didn't make it in the big game, but so I hear you.
It's all right. It's all right, man. I'm gonna put up these links because again, I think folks should definitely get in touch with you should they have any questions. I know that's your YouTube page. We're streaming there right now too, right? I know LinkedIn was always the hook, but
I know like we're streaming on your YouTube page, but I think after the show, we will to put up the replay on our station channel. But I mean, wherever you're watching us, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just leave a comment in the appropriate channel, and I'll get back to you. Make every effort to get back to you as soon as I can with answers to your question, or we can always chat offline, or I forget what the phrase is, but you get the idea. So,
poor Robert, he's fading. Folks, we're done.
Yeah,
he's fading.
I'm showing my age.
Yeah, you are, but it's all good, man. I appreciate you. You're
I appreciate you too,
folks. Have a great night. Thank you again for joining us on another edition of Verbose Perspectives. This is what we do. If we're doing it right, let us know. If we're doing it wrong, please let us know, because it's all about you and the community. So, have a great one. Take care of yourselves.
Take care, everyone.
Real Italian flavors are fresh, authentic, and never come in a bag. Like Carando Premium Meatballs. Our savored meatballs are made from 100% pork and blended with zesty Italian herbs, spices, and cheeses, delivering that perfect balance of fresh flavor you crave. From mozzarella rustica to cheesy Abruzzese to spicy Sicilian, you'll find Carando meatballs in the refrigerated meat section of your grocer. Carando. Life is delicious. Savor it. For recipes and more, visit carando.com.
Bissell air purifiers capture allergens, pet dander, even smoke. They're powerfully effective with 3-stage filtration, including a HEPA filter. Get simply clean air in every room from Bissell, a trusted brand in home care.